and this is the positivity versus negativity thing, like technology is inherently neutral. Like there's bad ways to use Web3, there's bad ways to use AI, there's good ways to use Web3, and there's good ways to use AI. And I think more of the builders are on the positive side. They're trying to help, they're trying to add value. So that's why I think the positive side will eventually overcome the negative side.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. Web3 and artificial intelligence are all the rage today, but the subject matter isn't always met with positive vibes. That's why we invited Eric McHugh to join us today. Eric is a Web3 and AI specialist whose mission is to spread as much positivity as possible. We were so intrigued by his approach and his projects that we invited him to the show to share some insanely positive aspects of the future in the digital space.
Eric, welcome to Be Bold Branding.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Us too. I mean, from the time we first met you, which was only like, what, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now? Yeah. I told Tanya, I'm like, we got to get him on the podcast. Like, we got to learn. This guy knows some stuff. We got to learn it. And so we usually start off in our podcast with us learning a little bit about you. Like, you want to give us a brief like background of your life and like what led you to really be interested and good at this Web3 space? Like, how'd you get here?
Sure, I'm happy to do so. Well, it's nice to meet everyone. My name is Eric. I'm 30 years old, blessed to be living in beautiful Southern California, where it's usually always sunny. My hobbies are chess, Muay Thai, reading, anything under the sun. I honestly try to get as much sun as possible, and meditation. Recently got back from a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat in Joshua Tree, California. May not apply to this podcast, but that's been a beautiful transformative experience for me. So I have to plug it wherever I go. So there's that. So if that's interesting, you check it out. In terms of schooling and work, I was lucky enough to go to school in Irvine and San Diego, interned in DC as a consultant, in Barcelona as a project manager, which was pretty funny just considering how opposite those cultures were. Like DC, you're there like 8 a.m., full suit and tie in the swamp, like the humidity, the jacket just never plays well. Barcelona, you show up at 10 a.m., you're the first one there. So right after college, my first job, I'm like, okay, I need to get a job. My first job was at Snapchat, helping craft their ad algorithm. The reason I chose that was the location. And the location for Snap is on Venice Beach. And a cool thing they did is they didn't have one large campus. They bought a bunch of different like houses and warehouses. So you worked in different pods, which I found cool. And the other reason is they're going through their IPO at the time. So I wanted to see what it was like being around a company with that energy when they're gearing up for that. And the second job out of college was as a bankruptcy consultant, helping Fortune 500s go through the bankruptcy process. But that didn't exactly align well with the ethos of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which was taking up all of my mind space. So if something doesn't align with me, I'm probably not going to do a good job. So I waited for my bonus. I quit that job without a plan. I started going to cryptocurrency meetups in my local area. We met the original ShopX team. And in the meantime, this was back in 2016, we also started another SaaS platform that got VC funded in Santa Monica. And the cool thing about that was it was one of the top incubators in the world. So at a young age, I was surrounded by different CEOs in different fields, in different levels of companies with different revenue streams and like different revenue levels. So I was fortunate enough to just network my way, grab lunch, went on walks with as many people as I possibly could, found out what worked for them, integrated that into my lifestyle, and here we are today. So I'm working on two different companies right now. The first is an AI matchmaker, and the second is a Web3 e-commerce platform. I think the why is very important. So I think everyone has an inner purpose and an outer purpose. I think my inner purpose is to raise my own level of consciousness, aka positivity. What this does is when I raise my own vibe, it's contagious. So it raises the vibe around other people. And what do? They go out into the world, they raise the vibe around those around them, creating a nice little upward spiral. And the second is because I think God, the creator of the universe, I think he gives us each specific individual gifts. Like I'm the number one me in the world. You two are the number one you twos in the world. You can't be me, but I can't be you. And I think people are happiest serving other people. So if the best way to serve other people is to be authentic and follow your individual gifts, how does this manifest in the real world? And it worked. And for me, it just happened to be two different companies. The first is ShopX and the second is Data Inc.
Wow.
I know. That was a lot packed in there.
That was
it's beautiful.
It's one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you, Eric, because I think that you can articulate things so incredibly, and there's a lot to unpack just in what you just said. So I can tell there's going to be another podcast down the road with Eric McHugh. But I don't even know. I'm sort of speechless on this. I got to hit on some of the points. I love your point about God, the creator. And I really love the point about what you said, that you're the number one at being you, and that he did give us great gifts individually that are very valuable to the whole. And I paraphrase what you said, but that's what I pulled from it, because we believe the same thing. Like we tell people from BrandFace all the time, we're like you are you for a reason, and you've gone through things that you've gone through to become you. And once you're authentic to yourself, you're extremely powerful in the space that you're created to feel. And so I have to make that note. You might have got something else.
No, that might be one of the most powerful introductions we've had, Eric. So thank you so much for that. I almost hate to get into the details of all the fun stuff, because, but you set it up perfectly. The why is extremely important to everybody. I've had people reach out to me in the past saying nobody really cares why you do it. They just care what's in it for them. And it's like, no, you are so wrong, right? You're so wrong. They care very much. So I do want to shift it though to, that this is a big topic. I mean, we've really got, two topics, the Web3 and AI. And for the audience who isn't super aware of it, would you kind of define Web3 for us?
In terms of defining Web3, I think I'm one of the perfect people to do so, because our company ShopX, we help onboard Web2 brands into the Web3 space. And a lot of these Web2 brands, their executives, they don't exactly know what Web2 is or Web3 is, nor do they know why they should care. So to understand what Web3 is, the easiest and simplest way is to go back to Web 1 versus Web 2 versus Web 3. Web 1, you can think of as read-only. So you can go online and you can read information. And this is fantastically powerful because this helps spread information. And the more educated we all are, I think the better we are off as a population and society. Web 2, the easiest way to frame that is through social media. So think of Instagram, think of Facebook, think of YouTube. So in Web 2, you can read, you can write content, but you don't own the content. So let's say hypothetically, I write an Instagram post. You two can read that post, you can interact with it, you can do what you will, but then Instagram owns the post. So let's say we say something in this podcast that doesn't fly, the rules change, who knows, Instagram may have some personal beef. Like, okay, we can delete their content, and they can also sell our data for nefarious purposes, because again, Instagram is the one in power in this situation. Web 3 is read, write, and own. So it's an internet owned by the users and the builders. So in Web 3, you can read content. So I can write content. So I can write a piece of content, but the only difference is I own that piece of content. And owning that piece of content being in the form of cryptocurrency or NFT. So let's say hypothetically, I write a piece of Web 3 content. I then gift you to the piece of Web 3 content. Now there's a connection between me and you, and that connection lasts forever. So I can send value your way, you can send value my way. My area of expertise is e-commerce. So let's say hypothetically I'm a brand, I'd write that Web3 content, give it to you two. I can send you discounts, in real life events, free product, all that cool stuff. And let's say hypothetically as a customer, I'm like, okay, well, I've had enough of these two. Not that I would ever do that, but like, okay, I want to take back this NFT. I can't take it back from you, even though I'm the creator, because it's owned by you. Amazon can't come in and take it away from you because it's owned by you. The government or Instagram can't come and take it away because it's owned by you. And on top of that, since it's your piece of content, if you want to sell it in the future or pass it on to your kids or do whatever you will, it's totally up to you.
I love it. Great explanation.
So it's almost like you're creating this alternate universe out here to the side saying, hey, my content is over here on this. I can post it here, here, and here, but I still own it. You don't own it.
Correct. So it's created. So right now, because Web 2 is still the main, so Web 3 is still, it's not that usable in terms of UI, and there's not too many incentives for the normal everyday person to use that. But people are starting to migrate over slowly but surely into Web 3. And I have a personal friend who runs a YouTube channel. He has a gaming channel. It was his livelihood. His name's Nick Merckx. He's on Fortnite, so he's kind of famous. But he said something that didn't fly with the agenda that's being pushed. canceled him immediately. So had he had had he moved his community over to Web3, he'd still have interaction with his community. He could still keep his livelihood going. And on top of that, it's extremely important because I had another friend. She had an Instagram account. She sells stuff online, and she posted a picture with her and her kid was topless, and AI automatically flagged that, and then they instantly took everything down without having like a third person check that out. So if that's the method going forward, and people are going to automatically like flag stuff like that, I think having that check and balance is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would think, not that this is the point, but that like Instagram, Facebook, those platforms right now, they wouldn't really want content creators like over here in Web3 creating stuff that's actually theirs. Is that sort of correct?
That's correct. I mean, Facebook and Instagram, they're going to adapt just because they have tons of money, and they're going to be forced to adapt because it's going to be like a small boom where like all the smaller guys move and they're like, okay, we have to adapt to this. But Web3 represents decentralization and freedom. So a lot of companies like Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, even the government for that matter, they keep all their power because they have all the control in one place. But if that power and control is spread across, they lose a lot of their levers of control. So of course, people in the power, they generally like to keep the power, so they're going to fight against it. Hence, you see some of the negative narratives and the laws around Web3. Not, of course, Web3 does have its drawbacks.
Right. I find it important because we've written books, right? And those books, even though they're a couple of them were international bestsellers in business and made top 10 in so many other categories and things like that. But when we produce that content on the norm social medias, whatnot, it can be literally plagiarized without credit to us, as if other people had written that book and written that information. So it's as a true content creator and the individual, I really like the idea of this heading that way, right? Because am I understanding it right? Your work will be more protected. So in the second grade, I was taught that plagiarism was wrong, unethical, immoral, right? But I don't know that exists in Web 2 when we're utilizing platforms that we've given permission to do whatever they want to, right? So I would think, is Web3 going to be more valuable for that?
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that because because Web3 at its core, it lets the creator create a relationship with the consumer, whatever form the creator takes. It could be like a author, it could be an artist, it can be whatever. It lets them create one-of-one copies. So the source behind Web3 is cryptocurrency and NFTs. So you can think of an NFT as just a piece, just like there's land and physical space. NFT is a land and digital space where there's only one owner. So in physical space, you want to build a school, you want to build a business, you want to build a garden on your piece of land, you can totally do so. So in NFT land, if you want to build a book, you want to build a music stream, you want to build video content on that NFT, you just want it to be a PFP, it's up to you to build. So if you were to launch like your book in Web3, you can create a limited amount of copies of that book. So there can only be like 10, 20, 50, or 100 copies of that book, and you know who owns the book, and you can send value towards them. So imagine, like, I think a better example is with music. So for example, let's say hypothetically, because I think me personally, I used to use LimeWire all the time and just download pirated songs, which is a shame. But like, imagine an artist, they create a one-of-one song. They put that one-of-one song in the form of NFT, so only a specific number of people can own that piece of a song. Let's say I purchase 1/10 of the song. That's great. I own that 1/10 of the song. The artist knows who I am. They can send me you're one of my supporters. Here's some autograph signs. Here's some concert tickets. Here's all that jazz. But the cool thing is, because I own a part of that song, hypothetically, let's say that song plays on the internet. It plays one time. The artist earns $1. I could potentially earn 1/10 of that song. And that's possible and scalable because Web3, it enables micropayments that are automated on the back end. So the Web3 infrastructure doesn't know like Eric McHugh owns that piece of the song. It knows Eric McHugh's wallet address owns that piece of the song, and via smart contracts, whenever that song is played, money goes into that smart contract and automatically gets divided up amongst the people. And on top of that, it helps passing down, like, it cuts out record labels, just because I know some famous artists like Tupac Shakur and those guys. It's like when he died, the record labels took all of his belongings, didn't give any to his family. So with Web3, he could directly pass that down to his next of kin or who he wants to own his property versus like some opaque legal contracts.
Like what you're hearing? Hit that subscribe button and learn how you can change how you're seen and charge what you're worth.
Nice.
Okay, so interesting. This brings up another question. Now, I know you are the king of positivity here, so I'm going to ask you to take that hat off for just a second and tell me what are the potential negative effects of that kind of an environment?
Oh yeah, sure. And in terms of king positivity, I forget who it was. I think it was Nietzsche who said you can't reach the heavens if you don't have roots deep in hell. So I don't think you'd be very positive if you don't acknowledge or at least integrate the negative side. So like,
right.
Positivity is you need the negative. You need balance and everything. So in terms of negative aspects of Web3, the first two, and I think we're addressing, are the user interface. It's not good right now, but that's getting fixed. The biggest issue of the Web3 is its double-edged sword, and that's the ownership aspect. So hypothetically, in our example, you own that Web3, you own that piece of Web3 technology. That's great. You get tons of benefits. You have sovereignty. It's like you can sell it. It's all up to you. But what happens if you lose that piece of technology or you lose the private keys? Then it's gone forever. So you can't be like, hey, JP Morgan Chase, I lost my Bitcoin, I lost my NFT. What can you do about it? Oh, let me just call the CEO of Web3 because there is none. So with that comes an education curve. So, and that comes with skin in the game too. It's like, as people get more and more acclimated with Web3 technology, they may not care if they have like $1, $2 in there, but if they have $100, they may care a little bit more. But if they have $1,000, they may care a little bit more. And on top of that, people may try to, Web3 offers, so it offers freedom, but it can also be taken over for a system of control. So hypothetically, if Amazon or the government or whatever to launch a Web3 technology, get their whole ecosystem in, they have perfect control over that ecosystem. So I think the base of the Web3 technologies has to be decentralized, and then people build on top of that. And then they're going to sell that narrative like, okay, well, this is easy, it's fast, the UI is good. But it can be a Trojan horse of a matter of fact. And what I'm thinking of specifically is CBDCs. So central bank digital currencies. So imagine this, in a world where in a Bitcoin world, it's freedom based. If I want your Bitcoin, if I want your guys' Bitcoin, I can't inflate it away. I can't take it from you. The only way I can get your Bitcoin is to provide something of value to you and you send it to me. This makes my incentive value creation versus value extraction. But using the same technology, they could launch a CBDC where they'll say it's efficient, it's faster, it's whatever. But now they're tracking every single one of our transactions. We say something that may not be aligned with something, and bam, we're just cut off from the monetary system, which may actually be somewhat disastrous. But I don't think we're going there. I think, and this is the positivity versus negativity thing, like technology is inherently neutral. Like there's bad ways to use Web3, there's bad ways to use AI, there's good ways to use Web3, and there's good ways to use AI. And I think more of the builders are on the positive side. They're trying to help, they're trying to add value. So that's why I think the positive side will eventually overcome the negative side.
Well, hopefully with people like you involved, that'll definitely be the case. Because I do like that point. We can make it, as humans, we can make it positive if we want to make it positive.
Or we can make it negative.
Yeah, or we can have just as much ability to make it negative. But hopefully the good wins, right? That's what we believe. And so I know you're working towards that. That's awesome. Well, talk to us a little bit about your dating app, because that was another one that I really was, when you mentioned it, that I was enthralled about.
Yeah, so Dotting is the first ever AI-powered matchmaking service. And the why behind that is I think human relationships are extremely important for overall human happiness. And I think social media and present-day dating apps have pushed relationships farther down the negative versus the positive. So Dotting is trying to kind of put that back in balance. So I view, just like Web3, when I talk to brands, like, okay, Web3 is an additional stream of revenue. You guys can choose to integrate or not. It's up to you. Like, we try not to mess with their normal streams of revenue. So Dotting, it's another way to meet people in real life. If you choose to integrate with it, you can. Like, I always recommend, the best luck I've ever had is meeting people in person. But if Dotting can help me add another way to meet people, fantastic. So what it does is it auto-generates dating profiles for users based on their digital footprint and creates matches based on their digital footprint, hopefully setting up the backend for success. So for example, I could get 3 matches. Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. It's like, tell me more about Jane. She seems interesting. Oh, she connected her Facebook. she's the youngest, you're the oldest. Our pattern recognition software says that works best. Oh, she connected to Instagram. You both go to national parks. She connected to Instagram. Oh, you're both in the same career field. Oh, she connected to Spotify. Did you know there's a concert coming up in a month for this one obscure artist you both follow? Would you like me to suggest a date with Jane? I suggested a date with Jane. Cupid shows her my profile. She sees my digital footprint because from the female side, honestly, meeting a random stranger dude offline is a much bigger deal. I think it's a much bigger deal than like a dude just meeting a chick. So like she could be like, okay, well, I see his digital footprint. He seems normal. I can see how many mutual friends we have. He seems normal. And then she can ask questions about my social profile through AI. So just like ChatGPT has a chat feature, we're building that out. And let's say we go on that concert date, we fall in love, we get married. And then from there, it can act as a relationship butler. So you're like, okay, you guys haven't been on a date in 3 months. The place you had your second date, it has half off ice cream. We suggest there. It's like, oh, her birthday's coming up. You don't want to forget this, buddy. She just added this thing to her Pinterest board. This might make a good gift. So it's helping people down throughout the whole dating process. And this differs from the incentives, because I think incentives are extremely important whenever you're talking about anyone with anything. If you know their incentives, you can kind of tell how things are going to go. So the current dating app market, let's use Tinder as an example, but most dating apps are owned by Match.com. So there's someone with a monopoly. So Tinder, every time they match a happy couple, what happens? That happy couple should leave Tinder dating app. Like hopefully they leave the dating app. And what does that mean for Tinder? It means that they lose a paying customer. Mm-hmm. Tinder is working with Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs does not like losing money. So this creates incentive for churn marketing, meaning they want to keep people on the Ferris wheel. So if you know people who download an app, delete the app, download the app, delete the app, that's incentivized. Whereas dating, our incentivization is to set up as many dates as possible. Because if you guys like our service, you like the dates we plan, you pay for the date within our app, that's where we will get a commission. So if we match that happy couple and like, oh, this did well for us, and it's convenient, it's already built in our habits, let's keep using them. It can keep planning dates that way, and that's how we make our money. And in terms of long-term, I view this as a community building app too, because like dating is just easy market penetration, just because if you have friends in the dating market, no one's having a good time, and that's by design. But it can build communities. So I'd be like, hey, find me 5 guys in my local area into Muay Thai who'd want to try this taco place, who are into meditation. It can find those, we can hang out. Or we're building out a tap-to-tap feature. So like imagine you show up to your first day of college, you show your dorm, like, who is my roommate? I don't know anything about this person. I'm kind of nervous. You two take your phones, you tap, you have dating profiles. It shows you what you have in common, your potential dislikes, your potential likes, and it could suggest a hangout for you too.
Mm-hmm. I remember when you mentioned that I really like that feature of it, because like Tanya and I, we love to travel like abroad as well as in the United States. And so you think about it, like if we're planning a trip to France, you know, and there's a way that we could maybe meet, you know, a Parisian, right, that it has the same interest and likes as us, and then also become somebody that can have those likes and interests. So like if they like museums and we like museums and they live in that town, country that has that museum, then who better to show you that museum than somebody that goes to it, you know, every other month or something, you know? And I thought, am I on the right track there? I thought, man, that's really cool, because like you could put like and kind together worldwide. Yeah,
no, you're 100% on the right track, because I think it's bringing people closer together. And on top of that, we're building out a karma system too. So if you guys are on Reddit, they have a karma system for like good users have high karma, bad users have bad karma. So like if people are respectful, they're nice, they behave well in the app, that's how you get good karma. Good users match with good karma users and get shown good karma users. Whereas you ghost, you're rude, you just send like you curse, you do just things that are unsayable, you get bad karma. So that bad karma users get matched with bad karma users. So in our example, if you're in France or Paris or wherever, and then you tap, you can see kind of like, okay, well, they're friendly, they've done this before, they have good karma. It builds that trust factor as well. And then you can also check out their, because again, safety and travel is a bit broad, you can check out their digital footprints. Like if they have like no Instagram, no Facebook, like all of their pictures are by themselves in the bar, except for their profile picture, you may want to know that. But if like, okay, they're hanging out with their friends, they're laughing, they're having a good time, I like these people, it could help you do some, because the thought behind this is just from personal experience. I have plenty of friends who are girls, and I've seen them do their detective work in the group chats. So we wanted to build that in with the app where it's like, hey, they could ask questions about that, just because that is important. It's like you want to know more
Sure.
about your person before you meet them.
Absolutely. I'm in the real estate business, and I do that with agents that come and interview with us. I mean, one of the first things we do is when they call to say, "Hey, can I have an interview?" is like, "Yep." And then somebody in my staff goes to their social media and check them out to see if they're going to be a fit for the culture. So I think that's awesome. And then the safety issues of that, I think, are even better for, like you said, like dating apps, especially for, the females that could be a bit more vulnerable. And so I assume it ties in, like you said, your digital footprint. So, you can't, maybe it would be a lot harder to just invent, fake profiles and things like that. So.
And the fake profiles, they're a giant issue. It's a giant time suck. And going on 2 points, like I found that women are just more fun to be around when they're themselves and they're comfortable. So if they're on edge, it just helps both people if they're helping with that. And the dating app profiles just mean it's a lot harder to fake like all your social digital footprint versus like from Tinder, from the guy perspective, a lot of people, they don't realize this. They're just talking to bots. And those bots are trying to send them down a specific sales funnel to either buy something or register for like a cam service or whatnot. And the downside for that from the female perspective is it's creating just like people aren't just happy. Like they're not happy on the dating app. So like let's say, imagine some guy is talking to 8 bots. He finally matches a girl who could be a potential fit for him. He's like, I'm over this. I'm just talking to bots. Why would I care so much? And then you get the quick one-word answer like, hey, do you want to meet up? And she's like, no, can I actually talk to you? She's like, I'm not going to waste time on the bots. So that time chatting with the bots is an opportunity cost. And the same can be said about dating someone who's not a match with. Because I know plenty of people myself, nothing's wasted because everything's a learning experience. But like, I know plenty of people who would spend a lot of time dating the wrong person. And that was an opportunity cost from the right person. Whereas dating, we're trying to set up things in the back end. So like in our original example, it suggested the Spotify concert because you two happen to do that. But let's say it didn't suggest that, it would still make the match based on the data. So stuff like that could come up organically. So it's like, and again, if people are the same, people like different things. If I say no to people who are similar to me, it picks that up and then starts showing me people different. So the longer I'm on the app, the more likelihood I get a good match. Again, trying to push that authentic connection.
Right. It's all about experience, right?
Super smart.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Eric, we could talk to you for days. In fact, I'd love to invite you back sometime.
Oh, super down. You guys are great.
Yeah, we love having you on.
We do.
You've taught me so much, and your way of explaining things is better than anybody we've been around. You're amazing. So thank you so much for taking time to come here today. We appreciate it.
No, well, thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the 5 tips on how to create better content. I forwarded that over immediately to the people on our marketing teams. So what you taught us is going to be integrated and pushed to the masses.
That's great to know. We're glad to help. So what tell the audience or the listener that may need you, what's the next step for them to learn more about you?
Sure. So if you're interested in Web3 e-commerce, anything crypto related, the best place for that will be our website, shopx.co, shopx.co. And if you're interested in AI-powered matchmaking, it'd be dating.io. Hopefully by the time you hear about this, Apple approves our app and we're in the App Store. But if not, we have a website. And if you want to connect with me personally, I love talking to new people. I think everyone's interesting. So just hit me up on Instagram, Eric, ERIC, DMCHUGH, mainly because we can do the voice notes.
I love it.
Thank you again, Eric. It's been such a pleasure.
We're definitely going to have you on again because we know we can't even scratch the surface with this.
Ready to change how you're seen and charge what you're worth? If you're not getting enough opportunities to meet with ideal customers, or the prospects you're meeting with just aren't ideal, it's most likely your brand that's holding you back. So if you're a coach, consultant, or expert who is on the rise, you need our ultimate guide to a freedom-based brand. Download it free now at BrandFaceGuide.com.